My name's Blaktee, and if you've had a chance to watch any of my videos on the channel, you know it's pretty much all about backpacking. A few years ago, I got really interested in backpacking, and like most people who start out, I had a really big, heavy pack that was super overweight, overkill, carried a ton of stuff that I never used, but I fell in love with the sport anyway. And then you kind of go like on this journey where you start lighting your load, you get a small lighter sleeping bag or a tent or backpack. Those are kind of the big three, and then you really get into this journey and the chase of the ultralight gear, and in some cases you really go way overboard until you kind of come back and find your comfort zone. I haven't really ever done a what's in your pack video or a gear video because it's been changing so much over the last couple of years that it really didn't make sense to do one, because 3 or 4 weeks later it probably would have changed. I kind of became like a gear junkie where I really wanted to try stuff out, and I was chasing being both light and also having fun and the comforts. But for probably, I would say, the last year or so, 6 months anyway, my gear really hasn't changed anything, especially the stuff that I carry inside my pack. It just really hasn't changed, and so I felt pretty comfortable about maybe doing a gear video, like what's in my pack video and how I pack it. So this is my pack. It's a Z-Pack's Arc Blast. That's probably my most recent purchase. I got it this last winter, and that was kind of the last thing that I bought that really lightened up my load. Before that, I was carrying an Osprey Exos, which is also a really lightweight pack and a super comfortable pack. This probably saved me another 1.5 pounds just by switching. So the Arc Blast, this is a 52 liter, so it's not the biggest one, and this is a full load here. You can see it would probably last me for at least a week on the trail. So that being said, I actually still have quite a bit of room across the top that I could put more gear in there. So let me show you what we've got in here and we'll go from there. Okay, as far as what's in my pack and how I pack it, I'm just going to kind of work from the outside and then go down in through the top and show you really my system, why I do it that way, and kind of how I pack it that gives me the best ride on my shoulders, but also access to the things that I use the most. So in this front pocket right here, I've got my pair of gloves. These are just some black diamond with leather bottoms that are nice because when you're building a fire or if your hands get a little bit cold. I've got my beanie, and they're just right here in the front pocket, and so I can access them quick and easy. The other thing is this is my hoop shovel. It's just a little teeny titanium shovel that I think it weighs like an ounce or something. And I keep that right in the front as well. The next is my water treatment system. This is just a platypus bag that you can fill up. It's a 64 liter, and then you can squeeze it out through a Sawyer filter or treat it with Aquamira drops. I like both. I wouldn't say Sawyer's better than Aquamira or vice versa. I think they both are cool and convenient and both really lightweight. Really, they're probably about 6s on weight. And I keep that up front right there. One thing I do carry here that wouldn't fit in the ultra lightweight, which I'm not trying to be ultra lightweight, is a little saw. This is just like a, it's a fold out saw, so you can cut down some wood and have a fire. We like to have a fire almost every night we go, and so little saw in the front. The only reason I carry it there is because it fits well, and there's really no place inside to carry it. Also on the front right here, I have a camp chair that I strap to the bottom. This is the Monarch Elite chair. That's obviously a comfort item, and I seriously just love it, so I carry that most everywhere. On this pocket here is the titanium jet boil. What we do for cooking, or what I use for my cooking. And on this side would just be my platypus 34-ounce drinking water. That's what I use for Also on the outside here, I have my Mora knife that I strap to the outside. It's easy to access and get to. I know a lot of people carry just a pocket knife, and I think for the ultralight guys, that's super cool. I've done it that way. But I like to be able to do a little bit of bushwhacking, or bushcraft, not bushwhacking. I don't really like bushwhacking, but bushcrafting. It's kind of fun to whittle away and build a cool fire and get some twigs and sticks and stuff. And I use it a lot. It's not a very heavy knife, but it's a pretty durable knife, the Mora knife. Fairly popular. So that's it on the outside. In the front pockets, I just carry like treats and candy on one side. On the other side, once in a while I'll carry like a Glock 9mm. It's a little bit heavier, but there is places where we go where there's wolves and bears and different things, and if I have my little boys with me, they're 11 and 5, sometimes I'll throw in the Glock just to have a little bit of safety for those purposes. Alright, now on the top, with the Z-Packs Arc Blast, this is a waterproof backpack, so I don't have like a water cover. I just use the roll top, and inside I have different little stuff sacks that I break it down. So if we just unroll it, and you can see when I unroll it, there's still quite a bit of room right here that I could fill up with, and there's a lot in this pack. The very first thing that would come out would be, get this pack tipping over, is just a little Cuban stuff sack, and inside this one is my jackets. I've got like a quarter zip long sleeve Cap 1 by Patagonia, and also I carry a Patagonia ultralight down shirt, and that's really my jacket and my insulation. I also carry a Z-Packs rain jacket. So for the summer around Idaho, that's plenty. Sometimes it gets a little bit colder than that, but it's never been like freezing cold. I think that's good enough to get me down into the low 30s super easy. So that's my jackets. I like to keep them in a stuff sack. This doesn't weigh much, but I like to keep them there, and that way if I'm not using my jackets when I get to camp, I have them in a sack that doesn't get strung out, so my jackets just aren't laying all around in the dirt. That's really the only reason I put it in the stuff sack, is just to keep them from being thrown out in the weeds when I get to camp. So that'd be the first thing. Right after that would be my tarp and my hammock. The reason why the tarp would be right at the top is if it was pouring rain, and sometimes it is, you can pull this right off the top, throw your tarp up, and you're underneath, you're out of the rain, you get to all the rest of your stuff and set up your hammock. So the tarp is always at the top. This is a hammock gear Cuban fiber tarp. Here's my hammock. This is a DIY gathered in hammock with it's just a double end Cuban fiber sack that it goes in. That's it. So that's the hammock and the tarp. The next things to come out. After that, I have kind of like a little ditty bag right here. Inside the ditty bag would be like your toothbrush, toothpaste, some fire starter, my headlamp, a bug net. The bugs are cruising around your face. Just kind of a ditty bag, kind of a catch-all that goes in there. Like some Tylenol, Advil, and a few different things like that. The next thing that would come out would be my clothes bag. So this is where you'd have, or where I have a change of underwear, an extra shirt, extra pair of socks, and then I also have some like down booties that I'll carry a lot of the time, made by Arrowhead Equipment. It's just the little flamethrower booties, and those, if it gets really cold or you got cold toes or you kind of had wet feet or something and they're a little bit chilled, it's nice to have those down booties to throw on when you get in bed. And all that, and you can see if the air's out of this just stuff's down to almost nothing. So pretty lightweight, a little bit of clothes bag. And that'd be the next thing that would come down. After that, the next thing would be my food bag. Probably seen these before. This is an Ursack. It's a Kevlar bag that's bear proof, that you tie off to a tree, so you don't have to hang your your food bag. The bear can't get into it, neither can any critters and stuff. I carry it close to the bottom of my pack because this is generally the heaviest item in my pack. Obviously for an overnighter there's not that much food, but for you know, a multi-day trip, you're gonna have a, you know, this will be my heaviest item in my pack. The next thing that would come out would be my underquilt, and I just have that stuffed right inside the pack. It's not in a stuff sack or anything. By the time I get to this point in my pack, I've got my hammock and my tarp set up, so if it was raining, this isn't going to ever be out inside the rain. I'll be under my tarp. So my underquilt, and the last thing in there would be my top quilt. These are both made by Hammock Gear. This is for a summer quilt, this is a 40-degree furrow. This is a 40-degree Phoenix, and they're both made by Hammock Gear and pretty lightweight system. And so those go down at the bottom, get a little padding and a little base down there, and then put the food on top, and it kind of squishes that out, gives it a nice base in the pack. So I have everything out right here, and I was just going to load it back into the pack so you could see what it would look like. Now I always put my bottom quilt in first, and the reason why it's always the last thing that comes out. And I start stuffing with my foot box going into the pack first because it helps to release the air. This new argon material actually holds the air, and it helps to pack it quite a bit better. So I'll just stuff that in. You can see it really just stuffs down there really well. It kind of starts to puff back up, but as you load on top of it, that goes down. The next thing would be the underquilt, which I stuff that in there on top of it. And press that down in like that. That's what that would look like. And then the next thing would be the food bag. And the food bag, it kind of goes in angle, and then you just push that down in, kind of presses down. You're squishing your food a little bit, but that's backpacking. And as you push that down, that actually pushes the rest of the air out of those and kind of seals off that bottom and gives you a nice base for all the rest of the stuff that's going to come in. So from there, I'd put my clothes bag, kind of push all the air out of that, and that's it right there. And also my ditty bag, set right there, gives it another solid base. And then my Hammock Gear tarp, and I lay that right across the back right here, just like that, with my hammock right across the front. Give that again a press down, and still see I still have all of this top part. And the last thing I put in would just be those jackets. Now if I was wearing a jacket when I took off, I'll just stuff that right here in the front. Doesn't actually have to go back in here, but if I'm not wearing them, then that's where I like to put those. Then just close it off. Give it a good press, let all the air out, and then start rolling that roll top. So it's nice and flat. Tuck that over. Creates a nice like bow tie, like wrapping a package. And then you have your kind of cinch part across the top. That's it.